All right, guys, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite life mantras I've ever created called Make the World Better by Making You Better. The way this came about is I used to be a heavy vape smoker. Like, a lot of people think that they vape a lot. Like, I was something else. Like, sometimes I'd go through one of those entire HQDs, which is 3,000 hits per day. And, when I was vaping, looking back on it, I'm like, when anybody would see me have the vape, I'd be handing out the hits, right? So, like, because I was vaping, I was also having other people vape. And I had a lot of people vape for the first time. Like, when the Juul came out, like, I was one of the first people with the Juul. So everybody was like, oh, what's that? Can I try it? And then I would see them with their own Juul, like, a few days later. I remember this one girl I was hanging out with at the time. She was like, honestly, Scott, looking back on that time, I was so excited to see you. And I could not, I remember thinking, like, I can't tell if I'm more excited to see him or to hit his Juul. It's like, wow, that's interesting. So, like, I did get a lot of people started on vaping, but the point of that is to say that down the line, about 6 or 7 years in, I decided, okay, and like, I'm stopping for good. Like, this is it. So then, like, it took so many tries because I would wake up every day and be like, all right, this is the last one. Oh, I'll do one more. All right, this is the last day. Oh, I'll do one more. Like, it was this repetitive cycle until I did finally quit, which I can do a whole video breakdown on how I was able to quit nicotine because that was a hard thing to do. But when I quit, I noticed that I'm no longer handing out vape hits anymore. What I'm doing is handing out advice on how to stop vaping. Solicited, of course. Like, people are now before, when people were seeing me, vaping, they would ask, can I get a hit? Now they're seeing me not vaping after seeing me vaping for so long, and they're saying, can I can I get some advice on how to stop? So that's when I started, like, kind of putting the pieces together a little bit on this concept of make the world better by making you better. It's like Michael Jackson had that song talking about how it all starts with the man in the mirror. And a lot of people don't know, like, how can I have such a strong effect on the world? You have no idea how big an effect you have on the world every single time that you go up, every time you do something positive for yourself. And that's super important because there's I'm breaking on the concept. It's something like contain love or something like that. It states basically, like, first you help yourself, then you help your family, then you help your friends, then you help your community, then you help your city, then you help your state, then you help your nation, then you help the world. So it's like this progressive ladder of, like, it all does literally start with the man in the mirror and improving yourself. I remember I still have never done a full video breakdown on this, and it is a little extreme, but I did, like, an all fruit diet. Like, I did a super healthy diet after never having fruit for like 7 months. And I noticed that when I started doing that diet, I started noticing people around me started asking those questions that they asked about the vape. Like, what tips do you have on, like, buying organic? What does organic mean? When it comes to fruits, like, which ones have you found the most benefit? I was also heavily into supplementation and herbs and stuff like that. So I'd be getting questions from, like, people I care about. Like, my mom was always asking me questions about how do you make this, because I was making a bunch of stuff too. What supplements would you recommend for this? Da da da. And then on top of that, with the knowledge that I was, like, gaining from myself to improve myself through these supplementations, through this diet, when I noticed there's certain things in other people, I could recommend it. Like, for example, if my grandma's saying, like, she feels like her memory's going, I can say, well, have you, like, you got lion's mane, da da da. Or, like, if somebody is like, my energy's low, I can recommend a bunch of stuff. I'm like, I've tried olive leaf extract. Have you tried NAD plus? All this stuff. So it's really interesting, and you don't really know when that information. Not only will you not know when that information that you're harboring and applying to yourself to benefit yourself is going to come into benefit for other people, but you also don't know who you're benefiting just by them plain seeing you. So, to go back to, like, the whole gym analogy in the past video, I remember something that really helps me is when I'm in the gym and I'm, like, working out, every single set, not even just every set, every single rep, I'm thinking about how I don't know who's watching me at this moment, and I don't know the results of this set, but I'm going to give it my full hardest, because if somebody in the gym sees me going that hard, or if somebody sees the results of me going that hard, that might inspire them to go into the gym themselves. like look at Arnold Schwarzenegger. He inspired an entirely new um, generation of people going to the gym just because he improved himself so much. Like he went so hard in the gym, and the ripple effect of that is absolutely real. I remember Billy Carson talks about, you got light and dark, right? So he says, like, when you're in a dark room, there's nothing you can bring into that. No, I'm sorry. When you're in a light room, there's nothing you can bring into that room. Oh, hon, I can't remember. Sorry, it's a little early. Like, I filmed these, guys. I filmed this at like 5:30 a.m. out here. If you're in a light room, there's nothing you can bring into the light room that will make it dark. Like, unlike a dark room where you can bring in a flashlight or something, there's nothing in a dark room, or there's nothing in a light room you can bring in, like an object, that'll make it dark. The only way to make a room dark is to actually shut the lights off. And if you think about that analogy, when it comes to life, that's how darkness is swallowed within the earth in terms of an energetic sort of thing. It's when there's so much darkness and so many people are pissed off and so many people are just giving up, that's when darkness swallows. Darkness can't come in and take over the light. The light has to be zapped out, And so if you think about it like that, I mean, just like if you are that light, but you got to be that light for yourself before you can be that light for anybody else. But imagine if everybody in the world like really came down to this philosophy, how bright the world would be. Like if they were just focused on improving themselves so much that it would overflow. Like there's this great analogy my friend Gary and Jones talked about where it's like, if you have a cup, if say you have like two cups and they're leaning next to each other, like one cup, if both cups are half full, and like I wish I had two cups to show you, they're just gonna pour between each other, and they're always gonna be half empty. There's always gonna be an emptiness in both of those. But if both cups are flowing, like say there's a faucet above both of the cups and it's just pouring in water, they're gonna not only overflow into each other, but they're gonna overflow into everything around. And that's the whole premise of self-love, and that's why like a lot of relationships unfortunately are built on the desire of, I cannot be alone. Like I can't imagine how many people are out there in a relationship with somebody just for the simple fact of they don't want to be by themselves. But they wouldn't feel that way if they love themselves that much. Being the light of the world and making themselves better, making the world better by making themselves better. Because it's a generational thing. Like, you have no idea the effect you can have on the world just by doing, just by doing good things. A great example I had is when I had my chef back home and I was doing that crazy diet. Like I had to hire somebody because like that stuff is nuts. Like it was very, very specific. And I saw my brother for the first time in a while. And he came over and I just started playing guitar. Like I really wanted to pick up guitar, so I started playing guitar. And he came over and he started showing me some stuff. This is the whole time my chef is like making some food. And then come to find out later that she said, yeah, like I saw that interaction with you and your brother, and that made me want to go home and buy a guitar for my son. And now my son loves it and he's in guitar lessons. I'm like, wow, that's actually pretty crazy when you think about it, because it all started with my desire to want to improve my guitar playing. And then she saw that, and then that's actually what brought my brother over. So that's a whole nother topic. But then she saw that go about, and then she wanted to bring that to her son. Now, there's an inverse to this entire thing. You do make the world worse by making yourself worse. Like, without a doubt, it goes both ways. So I remember, let's take it back to the vape thing. Like I said, I was handing out vapes. I was making the world worse. Not only was I actively like poisoning people's bodies with this vape simply because I was. It's not like, I'm not going to say no, like you can't handle this on some grand scan. Like it's kind of weird how much like I was okay with making the world worse and you don't even realize it. It's like a cynical way kind of to look at it, but it is true. Like I know it's bad for me. I know I'm still doing it. And on top of that, even worse than that, I'm making the world worse by getting people addicted on vape and handing out the vapes knowing it's bad. So it's the same thing with, like, say, when I'm eating a clean diet, I told you before, I noticed that many people around me start eating more cleaner. When I eat a poor diet, I notice the people around me start eating more poor. Say I have close friends of mine who like visit or whatever, and this happened all the time. This does happen when I'm like on clean diets. They'll visit, and I mean a very strict clean diet. They kind of like have to custom by that. Obviously, if we go to a restaurant, they can get whatever they want. But like if we're at home, and all I have in the pantry is like nothing, and all I have in the refrigerator is like fruits, vegetables, and meat. Like they don't have the option necessarily to put bad stuff into their body because I'm not putting any bad things into my body. And you got to think about how applicable this is across every single thing you can imagine. When you start, like, a lot of people out there are going to know what I'm talking about, because when I started an online business for the first time, man, nobody really like thought, because this was also 2017, so nobody really thought like this was going to go anywhere, like, except myself. So that's also a premise. Like, you have to really believe in yourself for real when you start anything at all, whether that's bodybuilding, whether that's building an actual business, whether that's making music, whether that's going after like a field, going to anything. Like, it doesn't matter how many people believe in you. You have to believe in yourself, because the world's not going to make you better if you don't make yourself better. Like, you have to be recepting of that. You can always be resistant. But a lot of people know about what I'm talking about. When you start an online business and it starts going well, a lot of people around you are going to want to ask some questions, because a lot of people want to know what's going on. Like, what are you doing? Da, 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 because most people want that. So it's like, if you are starting to go down a path where you're living a life that is not only abnormal, but also like a very good thing, you're improving your life, right? But then you have the opportunity with the information that you're acquiring and applying to yourself to make a big difference to the people around you. Like, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I can't tell you how many people have told me like I've changed their lives because they took my course or they watched my videos or anything like that. And first of all, just to clarify, I always say on that, like, I don't take any credit for that. Like, I just make the information. You guys are the ones who apply it. But you got to think about where that started. Like, that started with a kid dropping out of college, trying to make something work because he believed in himself to make himself better. And in order to make himself better, he had to improve multiple aspects of his life, like getting better sleep, getting better diet, getting better just like perspective on life, to be able to apply that into a business. And then that business was allowed to flourish. And then I took that information and, put it out there. And then because I put all that work into making myself better, I was able to make the world better. Oh shoot, the lighting might have been off there. The thing is, even if you're not doing like an online business or anything like that, you have to realize you have no idea the effect that you're having on the world when you just do positive for yourself. And that's so important, because anybody can be like, oh, I'm going to go have a positive effect on the world. I'm going to go give out money, or I'm going to go do this, or I'm going to go do that. Yeah, of course, like, you're going to have a positive effect on the world, but I would argue that you can have far superior effect on the world by making yourself better every single day on every single aspect. Even back to, this kind of touches on my last video with the energy of excellence. Like, if you just have a positive attitude, and I need to get these Ray-Ban glasses because I am going to film this video, you can just go around and see how much of an influence you can have simply by changing your positive attitude. Just go up to cashiers and smile with good attitude, and they'll do it back. And then that might ricochet into them doing it to the next customer who's having a bad day. That brightens that customer's day. He holds the door for the person coming in. That brightens their day. And you see how, like, this is what I'm talking about when, like, this is light influxing. It's like kind of turning up the lights. Like, everybody, like, no matter how dim or bright you are, when you do a good deed for somebody else, not expecting anything back, you turn up the brightness, and then that brightness when that person that you turn up the brightness in, first of all, turning the brightness up in yourself and then turning the brightness in another, that person's brightness is now going to walk through the path of darkness where there might be a lot of dim lights, and then their lights are going to brighten too. And that's how we bring up the entire world, by making everybody's lights brighter, by making your light brighter first. Like, a lot of people forget that. I forget that a lot of times too. It's like, I want to have a positive effect on the world. Well, like, how much of a positive effect can you have on yourself first? And then you can go from there.
And this podcast is also brought to you by AutoDS. AutoDS is one of the industry leaders in all dropshipping fulfillment tools, but they take it a whole lot of steps further. Not only can you get dropshipping time down to 2 to 3 business days, you also get so many more tools. Because AutoDS is one of the biggest dropshipping softwares in the world, they've implemented a product research tool that tracks all their analytics, all their orders, and then you can use that data to find your own winning products and see where the trends are going, or even use a product that you know is selling really well right now. They have a TikTok ad spy tool built in, so you can even look deep into the TikTok ad side of things for all your product research needs. And all of it is automated. Gone are the days where you need like a VA going around and fulfilling these orders for you. AutoDS, it is completely automated. Not even just the orders, but also the tracking updates and the returns. All of that is taken care of by them. They already have a lineup of 500 million products you can choose from. It sounds like a joke, but that's an actual truth. But I think what really makes them stand out is all their worldwide suppliers that they're connected to. Because most softwares are just like AliExpress and their own suppliers, but these guys are, Amazon, Walmart, eBay, Costco, Target, Overstock, Lowe's, and so many more. AutoDS is truly the all-in-one tool you need for all your dropshipping needs. So if you'd like to test it out, go to the link in the description below. You'll get a special deal through my link. Whether you're brand new at dropshipping or an experienced dropshipper, definitely check these guys out. Now back to the podcast.
And this is why it's so important to read books. And this is something that, the light's kind of messing up. Let me get a little closer. Oh yeah, look at that lighting. Damn. This is one thing that I want to be better about, is always learning through like books, through information, through mentors, all that. When you're always learning this information and becoming like a Renaissance man, and you're learning about like how to be a better person, like how to win friends, influence people, how to think and grow rich by Napoleon Hill, like these classics. Like when you read these books and you actually like get that information inside of you, the effect of applying it is gonna brighten the world, but also the effect of having it and spreading that message, similar to the Bible. Like if you follow the Bible and then you spread the good messages of the Bible, like think about how impactful that has been to the entire world, like information. But if you're peddling the Bible but you're not living by the Bible, that can also have a toxic and a negative effect on the world, because then that's going to make people less likely to follow like Jesus or follow the word of God or anything like that. Because I know some people have had bad experience, say with like religion or anything, because it's like, okay, it's hard to deny that most of that information is extremely like good and very rewarding and positive for society. But if the people who are talking about the information are like do damage or like are harmful, or like that's one thing. Is like if you're following a religion and then like you think that if someone doesn't follow your religion they're evil, that can be an issue. Now really you're making the world worse, because the message that you have is so good, but you're making the world worse because the way that you're presenting it and the way that you're acting in the world, being the harborer of that information. So you got to be careful with stuff like that. Like if you truly want to make the world better with a good message, you have to be that way. Like as soon as you let your character flip, that's when everything comes into question. No matter how good the information is, no matter how good your intention is, as soon as you're caught doing something that you know you shouldn't be doing, it's like all that goes out the window, and then your light starts to dim, and so as the people around you, especially those that you help brighten up. And so I know I talked about vaping, but this is super applicable to drugs. Like you can't tell me how many people have gotten other people hooked on drugs because they were on drugs. And this is the thing, misery loves company. I told you before, like darkest days of my life, there was something like intoxicating about that darkness, like, and I wanted to talk about the darkness all the time, and I wanted to be around like people talking about their darkness and stuff like that. It's the same thing with drugs. Like drugs is a path towards misery. So when like someone's doing Xanax or somebody's doing like cocaine or like heroin or meth or pills or anything that like is considered like legitimate drugs, they want people around them to do it, and they like encourage. I've known people who've gotten like spiked with drugs before, and it's like from other people that they know. There's this kid in my. It's not even funny, but it's like crazy. It's just crazy. This kid in my high school was like arguing with his mom once, and he like spiked her tea with like Xanax or something. There's something wild, but that's like a true classic of like, making the world worse. Like drug dealers, like this is like a often debated topic, but when it comes down to who's responsible, the user or the dealer, because the dealer's just supplying a need, but there would be no need without that dealer. That's just my opinion, because that's what I mean. Most people I think would agree with that. Like the worst people are the ones doing the manufacturing and the distributing. But at a certain point, I think a lot of people started shifting and saying like, well, no, it's actually. I mean, it does, like, the user is definitely like a factor, but where does it all start? Like the user wouldn't have a need or a desire or an addiction if it wasn't for the distributor or the creator. Like you can't really hide behind that. And that's actually the big topic with like porn. It's like a lot of people who do porn would say that they're making the world better because it supplies like a need, but the need wouldn't be there without the supply. And that's like a super controversial topic that I'm not trying to get too deep on, to be honest. But I have noticed that some people who say that the people who supply the drugs are to blame for the ones getting the drug users addicted, but the people who are supplying the porn are not to be blamed. It's the people who are consuming it, because there would be no need for the porn without the consumer. So you can't have it both ways. Like if on that topic, like if you want to be consistent, you have to admit both of them. But I hope you guys are understanding like the overall premise of this message right here. And I try to think about that all the time. It's like, man, when you pair this with the programming intuition and the energy of excellence, that's where it starts. So like make you better all starts with that programming intuition and the energy of excellence I talked about in the last video. But what you got to understand when you're doing this is bigger than you. Like this is so much bigger than you. Think about someone like Jack LaLanne. A lot of you might not know Jack LaLanne, but Jack LaLanne was like the guy when it came to health and fitness. And then this is I'd say like he was the guy for like until like Arnold came, and then Arnold was so obviously the guy because of how his body looked and how how big how big of his presence was, that he kind of took over what health and fitness looked like. But before that, it was like Jack LaLanne. I might have the time wrong, but Jack LaLanne, I mean, his 70th birthday, I think he towed like 6 boats behind him with his teeth. And think about how much that guy had to improve himself. But even bigger than that, think about how much that guy improved the world by improving himself. Because he inspired, especially like health and fitness was so desolate before these two came. Bodybuilding was almost non-existent until Arnold Schwarzenegger came. And then this health and fitness in general, yeah, you had like PE class, but people didn't think about it back then. It wasn't like today where you have to actually go out and work out. Like most people today, I think there's no need to work out anymore, or no want to. Like, but you have to want to go do it to look better. And think about this: when you have wanted to improve yourself, I touched on this at the beginning. Like, I remember I was inspired by Arnold Schwarzenegger when I first got into like physique training or bodybuilding or whatever you call it, just working out. I was inspired by Arnold by seeing like this guy's physique is crazy. Like that's insane. I wanted to be like that. Another person, kind of in hot water right now, let's be honest, but Tai Lopez, when I saw him, he really changed my life. I have so much respect for Tai Lopez because without him, I probably wouldn't be here today. But seeing the way that he operated in his life, and more importantly, what he talked about, because all that information he had made me be like, wow, like I want to be like that guy. So then that's when I started going into self-improvement myself. I never even heard of self-improvement before until Tai Lopez. Like Tai Lopez inspired me to read my first book. He inspired me to like look into online business. I took his course, which taught me social media marketing. I'll be honest, didn't learn too much about social media marketing, but it did give me the gateway towards learning drop shipping, which I taught with myself, and then the rest is history. But when you think about topics like this, like when I say like, oh, you got to understand that you never know who you're impacting with every rep, with every walk, with every run, with every positive thing that you do with yourself. If you're having a hard time like conceiving that you could have that type of impact on the world, you got to think about all the people who've inspired you. Like think about all the people that you've seen that have inspired you to go out and do something. I mean, that could be as simple as go out and walk. Like there's this movie by not J.K. Rowling, but some guy, Stephen King, called Walking. You know, he made this movie, and it's like a horrible, like in terms of, it's like a horror plot where like once you stop walking, like you die. But even creating something like that, he's creating something not to harm the world. So like this is, I'll be honest, this is like a horrible example. But I'm just saying like someone might see that and they want to go walk, you know. So you got to think about in your life when you've wanted to, or you have went and improved yourself, what was it that you saw that made you go do that? Like for me, anytime I've gotten like out of shape and I've seen somebody in shape, I'm like, man, all right, today's the day I'm going to start eating more healthy. Today's the day I'm going to start going harder at the gym. Like, and it's amazing. Like you can be that person that you can be the person that person was for you. And then it's a ripple effect. I think that's how we really improve the world right there. It's just like being good to ourselves first and foremost. And then not holding on or gatekeeping that information, like wanting to spread it, wanting to do good, wanting to make the world better, but by making you better first. And I think that's what the big difference here between my last video and this video would be in terms of energy, because obviously there's big differences here, but the energy thing, the energy of excellence is kind of like engulfing and blanketing yourself in the same energy that one would feel going into like a $50 million exquisitely designed mansion, taking that energy and then putting it in yourself so that when people meet you, they feel like they're going into a $50 million mansion. They feel like they're getting in the most elegantly designed car or some object, you know. The big difference here is like this is, I think, making the world better by making you better is simply about being positive and self-improving. Like this is not getting to the level of excellence. Like, excellence spreads just like positivity, of course. Like when people see excellence, they want to be excellence. But this is more like ground level of understanding every action. When you break it down to the actual atom, like this life is positive and negative. And every action and every thought and every word spoken is going to be one of those two. I don't really believe in neutrality. I think one's going to lean more towards the others. There's a lot of stuff that's like right in that middle. But one's going to lean more to the other for real. So if you lean on one side, as you're leaning, you're actually kind of, think about this. You're bringing like other people with you. And as you lean on the other side, you got to think about this. You're bringing other people with you. Like how many, a lot of you might have seen that TV show about Xanax addiction where they like, I know, not Xanax, Oxycontin addiction, where they like addicted these parents, like parents or just like people and communities to these like drugs, and then just destroyed the family. Now, going back to like, I don't know if that's like the user necessarily, but it's just a good example of saying like when you start to destroy yourself, you start to destroy the people around you. And drug addiction is one of those classic things. Like I'm sure everybody knows somebody in their family or somebody that in their friend group or somebody at the school or somebody in their community, and they got into drugs and then it just destroyed the families, because drug addiction, especially the hardcore stuff, is so bad for yourself. I think they said, I don't want to quote it, it was like doing cocaine once a week takes like 13 years off your life or something like that. So already, not only are you like damaging yourself, but it's such a negative thing to do that it immediately like diminishes and dims the people around you, especially in your family, especially in your friend group, and especially in your community. Because if you're doing the drugs and then people start doing the drugs with you, they start getting drugs, and then they start going around doing drugs, and then they start doing drugs with other people. And this is how cocaine spread in the 80s. This is how Oxycontin spread in the 90s or the 2000s or whenever it is. And this is how Xanax addiction spread, meth, all this stuff. But imagine if the first person never partook, you know. Well, imagine if the first person decided, you know what, I'm gonna I'm going to go on a run instead to deal with this stress, or I'm going to go and do this. It all starts with the man in the mirror, and you can really have just the most uncalculatable effect on the world when you just make yourself better, make your energy better, make your physicality better, make your finances better, make your creative endeavors and better. I didn't even think about this. Like, I've made a lot of music in my life, like tons of it. I can't tell you how many people have started making music because of me. And I'm not trying to take credit for that. I'm just saying, like, I had the studio, like, I wanted to make music. I want to get better at music. I want to make myself better at music. So what did I do? I got like a microphone, I got headphones, and I genuinely wanted to do this. So guess what? When people are around me, I'm not handing out vape hits. I'm not handing out fucking cocaine. I'm handing out a lot of let's make a song sort of thing. And then that was the whole premise of, like, when I started freestyling. Like, I started freestyling, and then people around me started freestyling. Freestyling is such a good thing for the mind, positive force. And then all of a sudden I'm hearing, like, yeah, they're saying, like, oh yeah, I freestyled with so-and-so the other day. I'm like, does he freestyle? He's like, no, but I got him into it. That's how it goes, guys. Like, I don't want to mean to sound repetitive, but I just really want to harbor the fact that you do positive for yourself to do positive for the world. It's that simple. And when you do negative for yourself, you do negative for the world. Like, because even something as simple as pulling into McDonald's, someone might be driving by and see you pull into McDonald's and be like, you know what? That guy has a good idea. I'm going to go get McDonald's too. But that same person could see you running your fucking ass off down the street, like sprinting, and say you have a great physique too. I hate to keep getting physical about it, but it's just too easy of a analogy. But that same McDonald's you pulled in, or honestly, a better one would be like if somebody saw you eating McDonald's outside of McDonald's, like, and they're like, wow, that actually does sound good, I'm gonna pull in. Versus somebody seeing you in peak physical condition, sprinting past that McDonald's as they drive by, they might be like, oh shit, I'm gonna go home and run myself. And then all of a sudden you have a gang of runners.
This podcast is brought to you by dropshipping.ai. That means this podcast is brought to you by myself. This is my website. This website is completely free for everybody. I don't want your money now or later. This is not some funnel. This is completely free. You get a free dropshipping store built by AI. You get free products chosen by AI, and you get a free course on how to use AI to dropship in the modern day era. AI has changed every industry. Everybody knows that, and dropshipping is not excluded. We have the most relevant, most powerful, most up-to-date information specifically tailored to dropshipping and AI fusion that we're seeing right now. And like I said before, this is completely free. I'm one of Shopify's top affiliates in the entire world. In fact, I was awarded top Shopify affiliate in North America, so they pay me to give you guys this for free. It's a beautiful cycle called the cycle of life. So if you want to support yourself and support this podcast and support me, go to dropshipping.ai, claim that store, claim those products, claim that course, and let's get back to the podcast.
That's what, great story by Gary and Jones. Shout out Gary and Jones. He told me, like, when he was in prison, he said that they can take my freedom, but they can't take my mind. And he said that that's when he realized, like, in order for him to get, he was sentenced to like 20, he was supposed to be in there for like 20 years, I think, in a French prison, and he was American. He'd never really been to France before. Crazy story. But he said, like, the way he's going to get through this is, as long as he remains positive, he kept reading The Power of Positive Thinking. He read that, I think, 280 times in jail. And it's still this day, I think he's read it like 500. He just constantly has that, because he says as soon as he stops reading that book, things start to slide. He starts to not be as positive and be a positive force on the world. So he said when he was in this prison, he just started doing everything he loved. So he loved singing. And so he started just by singing, and then I forget the exact details of that specific circumstance, but he said, like, someone heard him singing, and the guy kept asking him to, like, sing some more because he loved singing too, and then they were, like, singing together or something like that. But the big point I wanted to bring up in that story is he started running in the courtyard every single day. Like, he'd run circles around the courtyard, and at first it was just by himself, right? And then people started seeing him run. And so more and more every single day, more and more people started, like, no one was running at the time. And he said at the time people were getting stabbed, there was drug dealing, all this stuff. He said by the time of his prison sentence, because I think he only had to serve, like, can't remember how much, it wasn't 21 years. It might have been just like a year because of some crazy circumstances that he attributes to the book. But going back to that, he said like by the time of his sentence, end of his sentence, he said he had like 80% of the courtyard running with him, all because it started with he was doing what he loved to do, what he genuinely loved to do, not like what he fabricatedly loved to do or what he convinced himself he loved to do because there's no other option. Like what he genuinely loved to do, he loved to sing, and he loved to run. And when you run, you make yourself better physically. And by him running and making himself better physically, he started making the people around him better, not only physically, but mentally as well. Because he said when he was running, he felt free. And now all these people started running with him because they were inspired by seeing him running. And then now they felt free. And it's a domino effect, man. It's like, that's a great example of like, you never know the effect that you're going to have. Now, sometimes it won't be that obvious. Sometimes you really won't know the positive effect you have of just opening the door for somebody and being like, have a good day, because that might be when they get a call and then they bring light to that person. But think about it, that door analogy. Think about like if you shut the door on somebody, that could ruin somebody's day or week. Like I've had stuff happen to me in like a grocery store that I think about for weeks. And I'm like, why am I still thinking about that? Like I'm thinking about a rude woman or like a rude man who like, oh, like if I only said this, like I keep replaying these conversations in my mind. But by doing that and focusing on the negative, I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is like when you focus on the negative in any aspect, you stare into the abyss so long, the abyss stares back at you, and then the abyss starts to swallow you and swallow the people around you. And like you start to make the world worse unintentionally even. Like you can make the world worse by not even like doing anything. Like that's why one of the 7 deadly sins is being a sloth, like not doing anything. Like you have to be doing stuff. You have to be going out and getting after it. So it's just such an important concept to me and such an important thing to realize, because I think a lot of people, including myself at times, where like they don't see a purpose in getting better, especially when they get to a point where they feel fine, right? But then they'll have like a kid, or then they'll get like a wife, and then all of a sudden you see these people get super successful in every aspect, or they try to improve themselves. Sometimes not, but I've noticed that a lot of times, like when someone does have a child, that's when things go up in their life. And that's why if you take all the billionaires in the world, I believe it's like some crazy statistic, like 90% of them had kids before they were 28. Not only is it good for stability, but I think what it's actually doing is it gives themselves something other than themselves to improve for. So you got to think about your community, the world, everything is your child, and you're the child of it. So just as you can inspire the children around you, your children can inspire you, positive or negative. Or you could be the child of the world, more to say, and then you can actually be influenced by the negative that is coming your way, or the positive that's coming your way. And it's up to you to decide what you want to do with it. And it's that simple. You don't have to have a kid to jumpstart your life. You just have to realize that by jumpstarting your life, you could have the effect on millions. You never know. Like when I started posting YouTube videos, I mean, some of my videos have millions of views, and I only have one that has millions of views, and that was the Tesla launch. Maybe not like the most positive thing, like just launching that like super fast, but I bet it brought joy to a lot of people. I'll say that. Hopefully it inspired people to go super fast in cars. But when you look at my other videos, I mean, some of my videos just sitting down talking like this about like online business and how to avoid certain pitfalls has hundreds of thousands of views. You gotta realize how big of an effect just one of those videos would have on the world, especially the people who apply it, because like one simple change can shift a lot. And that goes with anything. One simple change in your diet can shift a lot. And when I say shift a lot, I don't mean shift just for you. That's something I got to keep harboring in. It's like, this is bigger. You have to realize and accept and know that this is bigger than you when you try to go down a self-improvement route on any aspect, whether that be for finances, whether that be for physicality, whether that be for artistry, whether that be for any sort of business. Like, people will see what you are doing. You can't do all that stuff completely alone. Maybe if you're some guy in Montana in like a self-sufficient home who never gets seen by anybody, who doesn't have an internet connection. But even then, the animals are watching, right? Even then, the animals are watching. No, I'm just kidding. But I would say it's like applicable for 99% of the world. And yeah, so if you want to see, if you're someone who wants to see their parents improve or see their friends improve, don't be like one of these people who are like, just get new friends or just get a new family. Like, what, are you crazy? Or just move somebody new. Like, some of the times you do have to move somewhere, but I'm saying, like, if you want to see the places around you improve, you have to improve yourself. You just can't be complaining, because the more complaining that you do, the more it gets dark, the more the lights dim. Nobody wants someone around them who's complaining. Think about a room full of people, and then one person just starts complaining about everything. All that, like, you can feel it. My God, you can feel it when, especially if you're in such a positive mood, and somebody's like complaining or being very negative. You can like physically, at least I can physically damn near feel your light start to dim. Like, it feels like it's just pulling you down. And so that's something you got to realize. Say it's cold out and you're one of these people walking around saying like, oh, it's so cold, it's so cold, it's so cold. You're making the world worse, you know? Or like, say like you're one of a doomist, or I forget what they call it. It's like somebody who always is expecting the worst, or like a doomer. Yeah, that's what it is, a doomer. And you're walking around saying like, oh yeah, life is in a terrible spot, like everything's so fucked up, da da da. That's you making the world worse, because you're making people's perspectives worse, and then you might actually convince somebody that the world and life isn't electric and good and with endless opportunities. Now, how about what if you became one of these people who, instead of doing that, walked around and said, life is like amazing. Like, look at all these opportunities. You can do literally whatever you want, whenever you want. Like, and just that can change somebody's life. I'm trying to think about, there's this one instance where, shoot, I'm blanking on the name. There was some like super famous artist who saw this was like when he was a kid, who saw a super famous artist live and said, I think the person I'm thinking of is Tame Impala. Tame Impala said like he went to some show, his first concert when he was like 10 or something with his dad, and he saw the artist playing so good, and he realized in that moment that's when he decided that's what he wants to do for the rest of his life. So think about this and just realize this. That artist had decades probably of working on his craft, getting better, applying the energy of excellence, applying the programming intuition, getting better, improving everything to get to that moment where he performs in such an excellent manner that he inspires, I'm just going to say it, my favorite artist of all time. But if it wasn't for that original person, it would have never been. If the people who made instruments didn't want to, improve themselves, I guess that's kind of like a weird one, because like, if you're making instruments, I don't know, we're getting a bit off topic here, but that's just something I want to cover in this video. I know you guys liked the last one, and so I've been waking up like that. What I do is I don't know if I mentioned this, I keep my doors open, and the bed that I'm in right now is facing directly into the sunrise. So it's a beautiful thing. Like, I have the sun rise me up in the morning, the sunrise rises, and then I look out into the blinding light. I wake up and I say, it's time to make a video. Get my camera, and I come outside and I turn the camera on with a topic in mind, and I apply it, because I know this is the type of information that really improved my life. So if I share it, I can improve other people's lives. And it's also a benefit for me. So this is like a reciprocal benefit sort of thing going on here, because it also reminds me of like, wow, like I got to remember like how all this started, like what my mentality was like when I started doing all this stuff. And and all that, because it's easy to lose too. That's really important to realize. It's easy to get to that energy of complacency that I talked about before, where things are good enough, like your relationship with your family is good enough, your business is doing good enough, your physicality is good enough, but all those can be sourced back to when I talked about in the last video, how excellent are you doing it? Because the more excellent you do something, the more excellent of an effect that you'll have on other people, because people can tell a big difference between good and excellent. Good, great, and excellent. If you want to have a good body, you got to eat good. If you want to have a great body, you got to eat great. And if you want to have an excellent body, you got to eat excellently. And that goes through every single thing there is. So, taking that information, if you want to have a good effect on the world, or how about this? We'll start on the opposite end. If you want to have an absolute terrible effect on the world, you got to start treating yourself terrible, doing terrible things, having terrible eating habits, having terrible drug habits, doing terrible just stuff to people. Great way to have a terrible effect on the world. But that all starts with how you treat yourself. It's hard to have a good effect on the world when you're terrible to yourself. So on the other side, if you just want to have like a bad effect on the world, just be negative, go around, tell people they can't do what they want to do, because at the end of the day, you're telling yourself that, which I need to come back to that after I say the next things. But if you want to have a good effect, you have a good diet, good workout, good energy, If you want to have a great effect, you have a great diet, great workout, great pursuits, But if you want to have that excellent effect on the world, where I think that is the closest we can get to God himself, you have to be excellent in every aspect. And I do not claim that. I just claim to have thought of that. And I also claim to have applied that and seen it work. It's magic. It's like when you bring excellence into the world, it's like you're bringing God into the world. And I truly, truly believe that. So that's where these two can coincide right here, because at the end of the day, that's what it is. So yeah, guys, that's just what I wanted to focus on this video. It's just a concept that I try my best to live my life in. And the thing is, it's not even about living your life within that concept. It's literally about being aware of that concept, so that when you get lazy, the people around you will have an effect on the people around you to be more lazy. When you're not lazy, people around you who see you not being lazy, and I'm talking not just like friends and family, I'm talking about just community. That's why that analogy of running by the McDonald's instead of eating at it is such a great one, because when people see you doing, they want to do. When people see you not doing, they don't want to do either. Like if you're surrounded by negative, lazy people, chances are you are going to be negative and lazy, because that's an energy thing. But like I said, I think where people fall short on that, talking about that, is like, how about you try to bring the light to them? And not by like saying like, oh, you're so lazy, like what's wrong with you? You got to be the light. You got to, like, when they see how good of an effect it has on your life to be the way that you are, assuming it's a positive way, they have no choice but to take notice. When I've been on my strictest diets, I've noticed people have taken notice to that, because it was different, like very different, opposed to like the normal U.S. diet. So I feel like I'm repeating myself now. I really wish I could remember what I said earlier, or what I said I need to come back to earlier, because it was like a super important point. But that's just how it goes sometimes. Sometimes you can't remember everything. So I just want to close it with this. Like, listen to the Michael Jackson song. I'm going to pull up the lyrics right now, actually. And this is what I really like about songs. Like, when I started making music, I started actually like reading the lyrics. And it's so different hearing a song versus listening to a song. Like, hearing a song, you just kind of like do this. You don't really know what they're saying. Like, I kind of fuck with Yeet, but I don't know what the hell that guy's saying. I have to look at the lyrics. And sometimes when I look at the lyrics, I'm like, I still don't know what this guy's saying. But if you look at Michael Jackson lyrics, it starts off by, I'm going to make a change for once in my life. It's going to feel real good. Going to make a difference. Going to make it right. As I turn up the collar on my favorite winter coat, the wind is blowing my mind. I see the kids in the street with not enough to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their needs? A summer's disregard, a broken bottle top, and one man's soul. They follow each other on the wind, you know, because they got nowhere to go. That's why I want you to know I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. And no message could have been any clearer. If you want to make a world a better place, take a look at yourself and make the change. Damn, Michael, my God. Okay, Michael might have figured it out way before me. But this song right here encompasses everything that I'm saying. Let's go on to that second verse because now I'm interested. I've actually never like sat down and actually listened or actually read the lyrics past just the chorus. But that chorus is so good. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways, and no message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and you make the change. Wow. All right. Next verse he says, I've been a victim of a selfish kind of love. It's time that I realize there are some with no home, not a nickel to loan. Could it really be me pretending they're not alone? A willow deeply scarred, somebody's broken heart, and a washed out dream. They follow the pattern of the wind, you see, because they got no place to be. That's why I'm starting with me. So in my eyes, when I'm reading this, he's kind of saying like he's seeing people with no home, no money or anything, but instead of helping them, like he's saying he can't help them until he helps with himself. So he sees that, and he's inspired by them so much so. He's inspired to help them so much so that he's got to help himself. And that's how it's got to work. You got to think back to that cup overflowing. Like you have to make your cup start overflowing to have that effect on the world around you. And then let's go on to this last verse. He says, you got to get it right while you got the time, because when you close your heart, then you close your mind. And then he keeps saying that chorus over and over again. Yeah, he says, I'm going to make a change. I'm going to feel real good. Shimon. Just lift yourself. You know, you've got to start with yourself. I got to make that change today. You've got to. You got to start with yourself, brother. I've got to be that man. You got to move. Shimon. You got to stand up. Make the change. Stand up. Stand up and lift yourself now. Go make that change. Shimon. You know it. Make the change. Man, that's awesome. That's really cool to think about. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think about it really from that perspective that Michael Jackson was talking about. I think I didn't think about you could be inspired by the negative just as much as you can be inspired by the positive. Actually, I tweeted about that 2 years ago. I said, you know, when I see someone super out of shape, I don't think like, what's wrong with this person, da-da-da-da. When I see someone super out of shape or somebody being lazy or somebody eating poorly, it never, well, the eating poorly thing sometimes inspires me to eat poorly, I'm not going to lie. But when I see somebody being lazy or like that, it makes me want to like get up and go to the gym when I see that type of stuff. Because it's not a judgment upon them, it's a judgment upon myself, because when I see them, I see that version of me and myself, and I so do not want to see that version of myself that I want to run away from that. I remember one time I was on this long run, and I was getting really tired, and then I approached this bar by my house back in St. Louis called Napoli, Cafe Napoli. It was like a Friday night, and I was running, and I just saw so many people just like sitting down, drinking alcohol, drinking, just overconsumption to the max. And that just charged my body like crazy. And I just rented the next couple miles. Like I was going hard. And I was thinking about that because I'm like, yeah, man, this is like really important that this got brought up, because I didn't mention this before, but you can definitely transmute that negative energy into positive if you allow it. That's the beautiful thing about light energy. It's very hard, super hard. I would say impossible to transmute light energy into darkness. I've seen people try. Like I've seen somebody once told me like it pisses me off how positive you are, but I think that was sort of like a front, because it was kind of like bringing the light towards their demons, and that's what bringing light towards like the world does. It can be freaky for some people, because when you bring in the light, it shines the light on the demons that surrounds them, and it shines a light on the negative. Like when you see, like if anytime I've been out of shape and I got around somebody super in shape, like I start to feel a certain type of way about that. Not necessarily towards him, because I try not to let my ego get in the way, but I feel a certain type of way about myself, you know? Like, as bad as it sounds, I've had so many people say that when they get around me, they feel self-conscious. And it pisses me off, because that never was a thing until I started making money and buying stuff. So like, people would come into, and that's why it can have such a negative, it can't have that opposite effect of what you're trying to do. Like people would feel embarrassed. They would be inspired by like my car, be inspired by like my house or my apartment. But then when I would go to their house or their apartment, it was like an assumption that I was judging their stuff, that it wasn't as good as mine, and they would feel self-conscious about it. So I haven't really figured out, because like I'm still the same person, guys. Like, come on. Like I don't care what you own. Like that is not, I care about who you are and your energy. Like I don't care about that stuff. But that is a weird part that I never even thought about, how that can have that effect. But back to what I was saying is like, you can bring the light to the darkness and expose the demons. But bringing darkness into the light doesn't necessarily expose anything. Like what's already, if you're bringing in the light, it's already exposed. So therefore the darkness that is coming can be fought with the light. The only way the darkness wins is if it puts out the light and you allow it to put out the light. And that is why I choose light every single time, and why I try to have a positive effect on the world as much as possible. I am not perfect whatsoever. I'm not fully excellent by any means either, but at the end of the day, you got to realize that every decision, every action, every thought, everything that you do is going to have that effect of the energy behind it towards the world, towards your community, towards yourself. You want to help your parents, it starts with the man in the mirror. You want to make a change to the world, truly, it starts with the man in the mirror or the woman in the mirror. I know 10% of you, 5 to 10% of you watching this video is female based on my statistics. So happy to have you here too, and all this is completely applicable to you as well. And the English language seems to be more favorable towards men based on the, you know what, we're getting way off topic. I'm just saying, like, I just want to clarify that so I don't get in trouble. Like mailman, you know, all that stuff. Fisherman. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys like this. You really liked the last one, so I'm going to keep doing this. I have a lot of concepts and things that have really helped me, and who am I to keep them inside or just like discuss them with people that I know personally? Like who would I be if I did that? So I just wanted to start doing these again and put out great information. And who knows what the ripple effect could this be? Because you got to think about that. Can't stress enough the ripple effect. It's not only about like the gym analogies. That's the easiest. I'm sorry I got to keep going back to this. It's not just about improving your diet and your workouts to like see your parents get in better shape or see your friends get in better shape. You got to realize when your friends are inspired by that. Like when I did 75 hard, I had over 1,000 people at least attempt. I think like 30 people ended up finishing. So like it was like a 0.3% success rate. But still, at least I had that attempt. It blew my mind to think about, wow, that's a lot of people. But it also blew my mind to think about all the people that saw them doing it, got inspired by doing it, and then they did. And then all the people that they inspired, who they inspired, also went out and inspired other people. And this is a ripple effect. You want to make a fucking ripple effect? It starts with the man in the mirror. It starts with making a change in your life, like Michael Jackson says. So just remember that. Like it all starts with the person in the mirror, and you have no idea how far that ripple effect is going to go. It's like throwing a stone into a flat ocean. That ripple will just keep on going and affect more people and bring light to the world. And inversely, you can make the world worse by making you worse, simply by doing bad stuff to yourself that you know you shouldn't be doing, like vaping. And then you start to affect the world in ways you wouldn't even know. And just to close off on this last thing, even the vaping thing, like just walking around vaping is making the world worse. It's not. I'm not saying like, oh, people are gonna breathe in the vape smoke. Like that is so stupid. Like it's not gonna harm you. Like a little vape smoke. It's not like smoking. But somebody walking, like you don't know if like a kid's gonna see you vaping who like maybe looks up to you, or maybe they don't know you, but they just see you and are like, wow, that guy looks cool. You know what? Today's the day I'm gonna go and vape. Today's the day. Or like if you're walking around smoking cigarettes and you see, and some kids see you, or like, how about this, somebody who's like been off cigarettes for 20 years and they're having like a terrible day and they see you walk by smoking, they smell that smoke and they're like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to smoke. You're making the world worse by making your world worse. There's no circumstance where you're on a run or you're eating healthy or you're being positive and you have a negative effect on somebody, except when it exposes certain things that they don't like about their lives, that so that they feel a certain type of way around you, kind of like similar to like when my friend told me like he would never have me over to his apartment because he would feel absolutely embarrassed for me to go in there. But he never felt embarrassed before like I started like getting nice stuff, you know. So I'm still figuring that one out, how to combat that. But yeah, this is how this has been. Make the world better by making you better, and I hope you liked it. See you later.